Provocative headline making the rounds. RAG is dead.
Yeah, I've seen that one.
It pits the large language model's own massive memory, its large context window, or LCW, against what we've relied on, Retrieval Augmented Generation, RAG, like the LLM's brain versus its library.
It's definitely catchy, but, for anyone actually building with AI in the enterprise, choosing the right architecture is, well, critical. So our mission today is really to dig into the sources and ask, is it truly one or the other?
Or is it more complicated?
Exactly. We need to look beyond the hype, compare RAG and these huge new models based on things like cost, security, reliability, the real world stuff.
Okay, let's unpack ARG first. It became the standard for a reason, right?
Yeah.
Like this external fact checker, this controlled library for the LLM.
Precisely. Enterprises grabbed onto it because, well, foundation models have limits. They have that knowledge cutoff date. They can sometimes invent things.
Hallucinate.
Right, hallucinate. And crucially, they can't see your private company data. RAG was the fix for all that.
So it solves the knowledge problem, reduces the making stuff up issue.
And gives secure access, yeah. But I think the biggest factor, honestly, RI is fundamentally about risk management. Governance. It forces the LLM to base answers on actual retrieved documents. You can see why it said something. That gives you an audit trail control. For banks, healthcare, you need that. LCW, well, it doesn't offer that same kind of granular control.
Got it. So RAG is the safe, controllable incumbent, but then the challenger arrives, these massive context windows.
And they are massive. We're talking models like Gemini 1.5 Pro, 1 million tokens.
1 million? What does that even mean in practice?
It's like fielding a 1,500-page book, or maybe 11 hours of audio, all in one go. On paper, that sounds like it could just swallow everything RAG does.
It wouldn't need a separate library if the brain can hold the whole library, right?
That's the promise. But there's a reality check, the needle in a haystack tests.
Right, the NIH tests. How do they actually perform?
Well, it's interesting. If you hide one simple fact, one needle, in that 1 million token haystack, models like Gemini are nearly perfect, like over 99% recall. Impressive. But real-world questions are usually more complex. You need to connect multiple facts, right? Multi-needle problem. And their performance drops significantly, maybe down to like 60% recall for Gemini 1.5 in some tests. Stuff gets lost in the middle.
60%. That's not reliable enough for critical enterprise tasks.
Not really, no. It's a big gap between recalling one fact and true comprehension or reasoning over large contexts.
Okay, so unreliability for complex stuff. And even when it might work, there's the other big question. Cost. What does feeding a model 1 million tokens actually cost in production?
Yeah, the cost. It's steep. The underlying transformer architecture, it has this quadratic complexity, meaning if you double the input length, you don't double the compute cost, you quadruple it, roughly. Yeah, so running 1 million token contexts constantly in a production environment often is just not economically feasible. RAG, on the other hand, is way more efficient for most queries because you find the small, relevant bit of info first, then send just that tiny piece to the expensive LLM, targeted and cheaper.
Makes sense. So RAG wins on complex reliability and cost efficiency. What about security and governance? If a company runs its own powerful LLM internally, does LCW become safer? Does RAG just add complexity then?
That's a fair point, but I'd argue a RAG still holds the edge on governance, even then. With LCW, to ask a question about sensitive data, you have to feed the entire sensitive document or maybe even a whole data set into the model's context.
Exposing the whole thing.
Right, whereas RAG, it just retrieves small, targeted snippets based on the query and, crucially, user permissions. The rest of your sensitive data stays put, secure. It's a more controlled way to expose knowledge.
Okay, so RAG isn't the same simple thing it was a couple of years ago. This pressure from LCW, it's forcing RAG to get smarter, isn't it?
Absolutely. This isn't naive RAG anymore. It's evolving fast. We're moving from just retrieving data to orchestrating knowledge.
Orchestrating knowledge. What does that look like?
Well, 2 big trends. First, things like graph RAG. It uses knowledge graphs, so it understands relationships between entities, not just keywords. This lets it do multi-hop reasoning.
Like connecting dots across different documents.
Exactly. Finding, say, a director's other film based on actors or studios, connecting information that isn't in one single place. Then there's agentic RAG.
AI agents running the show?
Sort of. An AI agent manages the query. It breaks down complex questions and figures out the best tool for each part, maybe use the vector database here, query a SQL database there, do a web search for this bit. It's much more dynamic.
Okay, so pulling this all together, it really doesn't sound like RG is dead at all.
Not even close, I'd say.
It seems more like RAG had to evolve, and the future isn't AG versus LCW, but maybe AIR plus LCW, using RAG for its strengths, precision, control, security, cost efficiency, and then letting the big LCW models do the heavy synthesis work on that well-filtered information.
I think that's spot on. It's becoming a hybrid world. And, just look at the market signals. The vector database market, the core infrastructure for RAG is projected to boom. We're talking $2.5 billion this year, maybe over $7 million by 2029.
That doesn't sound like a dying technology.
Not at all. That growth tells you our RAG's foundation is stronger than ever. So the real battle, perhaps, isn't RAG versus LCW. It's about who builds the smartest knowledge layer on top to skillfully combine both.
A final thought for you, the listener, then. How do you see this playing out in your own work? How might you blend that precise, secure orchestration from advanced RAG with the sheer synthesis power of large context windows to build something both powerful and trustworthy? Something to think about.